Whew, how you feeling, Blue Bombers fans? Really interesting matchup on tap here. Welcome inside Game Day Winnipeg. My name is Darrin Bauming. It's your Bombers pregame show. It's Winnipeg's pregame show ahead of Bombers and Alouettes, the undefeated Montreal Alouettes. Let's bring in the man. He's joining us from a secret location somewhere in southern Manitoba. It's the man, the myth, the living legend, Chris Walby. What's going on, Bluto? How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling great, man, but I'll tell you what? I'm a guy that runs normally about a 5'2", 40. Not bad for a big guy at 335 pounds.
Yeah, okay.
But I was trying to set up here so the people could see the lake, and I got attacked by a wasp nest. And I guarantee you, my friend, that I ran a 4.240 to my current setup. I ran as fast as, and they were in my shorts, man. I got to tell you, they're fast. So as much as I love this show, my legs are paying for it right now. But, man, I tell you what, it's wasp season. We're almost in July. We're almost Canada Day, brother. But It's always a pleasure to be here with all our great people and all the people tuning in right now.
Yeah, we're going to be joined by everybody who's currently watching the marble race on Winnipeg Sports Talk. They're going to join us in a second. We got a lot to get to on the program, including the latest on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers injury situation and availability situation, including one key Canadian and impact player on offense, Nic Demski, waiting to have a baby. His girlfriend's, his partner's due date was yesterday, Chris, on Thursday.
Congrats,
it's currently
man.
Friday. The game is on Saturday. How do you fly to Montreal knowing that, you could be having a baby in a matter of minutes or hours? So, I got a one-on-one with Nic Demski. We're going to talk about last week's 30-6 embarrassing loss. Frankly, I think it's fair to call it embarrassing to the BC Lions. And of course, we'll look at the Montreal Alouettes and what's working for them right now. 2-0 on the season, couple wins over, some struggling teams, albeit, but they are 2-0 and playing at home. Bombers currently 5.5-point favorites on the sports books. But Chris, let's, before we get into it all, a couple things we want to touch on. Number one, the godfather of Bonfire Sports, really kind of crappy news this past week and over the last couple days, but it has come out somewhat positive in the end. My good friend, Maddie, who I played football with, the godfather of Bonfire Sports, helped me create all of this for you guys. Helped me with the logo, with graphic design, with, the early days when we were doing things in different software. He built BonfireSports.ca. He's the OG of it all. Had emergency surgery yesterday, has been in the hospital for like 3 or 4 days, transferring him from one hospital to another. He's been on the morphine drip to handle the pain. The guy is an absolute warrior, Chris Walby, cut from your cloth, hard-nosed, hard-working guy, and a football player to boot. Even played 1 year at Arizona State after playing with me with the St. James Rods. You were a Winnipeg Rod, Chris. Rods are gods, and Maddie, the OG of Bonfire Sports, came out and will be stronger than ever, is doing well, recovering in hospital right now.
Yeah, we send our love to him and his family and make sure, he's in our prayers, brother. We want him to get better quick and get on with the regular life. And I also want to touch on something that I thought was pretty interesting, big fella. And that is big shout out to Andrew Hustler-Patterson and Michael Remus, who do their show, and they did a great job. They're phenomenal as well. And they touch on a number of topics, but I saw they were in Nashville. But they gave us a little pump, which I thought was really cool because, we've had the opportunity to work with Andrew at TSN 1290 where we had our radio show. A great guy. They have a great group of guys. But he mentioned something that I thought was really cool. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about one of the best fishing places to fly up to. And I got to tell you this, myself and my brother, Stan Mikowas, were invited up there. And at Aikens Lake. Yep. And it's unbelievable. It is such an experience. We were up there for 3 nights, 4 days, best time ever. It's a short flight from, I think, outside Lactabonnie. If you ever get an opportunity, that's what you got to look at. I know I've talked to the owners a couple of times, and they were talking about maybe trying to work something out to get me up again. I'd love to come out there. I'd love to do our show out there. But I know it's great. I know I saw Hustler there. We shared many a pint up there when I was up there. So just wanted to throw that little anecdote in there and listen, great place. And I'm not usually one to throw away free accolades here, but they treated us like gold, and I'll say that. I love going there.
Yeah, no question. And we're going to be joined by Hustler and Remo's audience right away as they're just wrapping up Winnipeg Sports Talk. It's really your daily destination for everything sports. And a great
Yeah.
show they did today, touching on the Blake Wheeler buyout and the Jets draft this past week, and so many other things going on, for Winnipeg sports fans and Manitoba sports fans. But the task at hand right now is the 2-1 Winnipeg Blue Bombers shaking off a ridiculous loss in week 3, going into Montreal in week 4 with some issues at hand, things to deal with. And most notably, I think, is the availability of a couple guys. We can comb through the roster in just a second. We'll pull up the depth charts and let you guys take a look at that. But first things first, Chris, people want to know. And Casey Jones, who's watching live on YouTube. What's going on, Casey? My question for Bluto is, how do you recover from that beatdown? What's going through the minds of these guys who got 3 or 4 days off after that game before getting back to work this week?
Reality. It's a reality check. I hate that. There's an old adage, everybody's got to look in the mirror. Bullshit. Sorry about that. But you know what? You just gotta play. I mean, that's the whole deal. I mean, they needed a kick. They were going to get kicked sometime. Listen, they did not show up. They did not show up. BC showed up. BC showed me a lot of chinks in the armor. This game to me against Montreal is going to it's going to reveal to me whether these chinks are real or was just a one-game mishap.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting because when I look at Montreal, they're not bad. Yeah, they beat Hamilton. And when they played first game was at Ottawa. I'm not sure if they beat Ottawa. But
who has?
I mean that's the thing, right? But they're not bad. There's certain things we'll talk about. But I wanted to say this, and you hit on it. And I'm pretty sure you were mentioning it off air, and I don't know if it's on there about Nick Demsky. Maybe you want to touch on Nick Demsky. I'm not sure if you mentioned it as we got live here, but I thought it was pretty interesting what you told me about what's going on in his life.
Yeah, he will be a game time decision, as too is Carlton Agadosi, who will step in for him. Alden Darby got pulled from that game. You mentioned some of the chinks in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers armor, and maybe most notably defensively, Chris, is the play of Alden Darby. And welcome everybody who joined us from Winnipeg Sports Talk. This is Game Day Winnipeg. Winnipeg's Game Day pregame show. Well, of course, it's the day before the game, but we're here for you on Bonfire Sports. Welcome inside. Chris Walby, Darrin Bauming. Good to see all you guys joining us following the marble race and a jam-packed Winnipeg Sports Talk. So Reda Cramdy, the Canadian special teamer, steps in for Alden Darby at a very crucial spot, Chris, at the weak side, at the strong side linebacker spot, or the dime. Demario Houston comes back. He was away last week for personal reasons. He's set to start at boundary corner. Abu Daramy-Swaray got exposed a little bit against the BC Lions.
First play.
Yeah. Evan Holm, Brandon Alexander, all those guys are back. Adam Bighill away for non-injury related reasons all week in practice. He is there on the depth chart at middle linebacker. So good news there overall. But Jackson Jeffcoat back. How much of a boon is it to Winnipeg's defense to get somebody like Jackson Jeffcoat, who creates pressure against opposing quarterbacks almost like nobody else in the league today?
Well, I think the thing is he needs to get back. And this is not a knock on Jackson Jeffcoat. Celestin Abadabadoo, as I like to call him from the Flintstones, this guy has got 3 sacks in 3 games. Really a great pass rusher. Yeah. Do whatever he can. He's making it difficult. Jackson Jeffcoat, listen, he's a premier football player. There's no doubt about it. They're paying him big dollars. But he hasn't been able to be healthy for a couple of years now. He's in, he's out, he's in, he's out. He had lower legs, he's had hip issues. You cannot live a career on that. And you get a young guy who's hungry, who's playing, relatively right and playing pretty good. That's where the door opens, and then you may not get your spot back. Do I think Jackson's going to make an impact? Absolutely. But you got to stay healthy, Jackson. You got to stay healthy. That's the key for you, brother.
So Jackson Jeffcoat activated off the 6-game injured list early. You're only allowed to do that twice per team during the season. So presumably he is the first of two that they'll be able to do that to. But better
Yeah,
news
yeah.
is that he's healthy and back in week 4 after getting nicked in week 1. Celestin Haba has been excellent. The interior of the Blue Bombers defensive line gets a bit of a nice return as well. Cam Lawson, I think Cam Lawson has been playing excellent as a Canadian, backing up Jake Thomas. You see him right here at the nose tackle, number 95,
Yeah.
62 in parentheses, meaning if he needs to move to the offensive line in a pinch, he'll pull on the 62 penny, or I don't even know if they do that anymore, Chris. I know you scored a touchdown.
Is it 62 or 65? I thought it was 65.
It's 62. Because 65 is Tui Ellie.
Okay, there you go, brother. They're changing it around. Oh, it's good to see Tui back, too.
Yeah,
Tui is a guy that I think has got a great future as a football player. Tough as nails. One of these guys, if he gets an opportunity, I think he's going to run with it. Mm-hmm. I think it's great when you got a guy like Jake Thomas who can come in and fill a spot. Jake is your Newfoundlander or PEI. I know he's out on the East Coast, making all those people proud out there. Yeah. Just a guy that, he's the longest serving Bomber right now, isn't he? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he is.
And he comes in every year, and they say he's strong as a horse and just gets the job done. And, my hat's off to guys like that, man. I love you guys. And maybe Jake, send the big man some lobster. All right? Love you, man.
So on the offensive side of the football, you have Rasheed Bailey right here starting at boundary wideout. Greg McCrae comes onto the roster this week, Chris. Interesting to see Greg McCrae step in. Yes, Nick Demsky is a game time decision. I think that kind of is part of it because Demsky would be your de facto running back in a pinch, right? You got Brady Oliveira, didn't practice this week, but he is good to go and will start once again, has not missed a game this season, the 1,000-yard rusher from 2022. But Greg McCrae brings a very interesting element to the offense. He is so fast, so quick, and so versatile. Played receiver last season, took some reps as a traditional running back as well. Small, shifty, explosive. I think Greg McCrae brings a real mismatch potential to Winnipeg's offense against Montreal.
Absolutely. If you want to get a mismatch, go to the linebackers of the Alouettes. But the biggest thing is he's healthy and he's fresh. And when you get a guy that's there who has not been in the lineup, now gets an opportunity to be in the lineup, he wants to make an impact. This guy could probably start on some teams out in the CFL right now. There's guys that would love Greg McCrae to become free. Now think about it. If they put him on the practice roster, a lot of times he gets snarfled up, which again is a reflection of the culture they're building in Bomberland in Winnipeg. The guys want to stay here. I mean, they're not making a ton of money. Listen, guys, they're not buying Rolls Royces or anything up to it's a different world when you're getting a payroll.
They are driving nice trucks.
That's what, and that's God bless whoever, if Wade or Kyle, whoever's working a deal with the dealerships. That is nice because that was never. I mean, I never got that. They gave me a two-wheeler. I had a two-wheeler, a CCM two-wheeler. Maybe that's what kept me in shape. I used to blow a tire a week. But anyway, it was. Yeah. But anyway, I want to say that you were talking about this. I want to hit on something you hit on, which I thought was pretty interesting. And you're talking about Alden Darby getting pulled last week. Mm-hmm. I found it interesting because when I watched the game over and I saw, this is nothing on Reddy Cramday because he's an excellent football player, but McInnes turned him around in that touchdown in the end zone.
Justin McInnes.
I mean, it was one of those things. And I know this. It's about experience. Listen, Alden Darby, they loved getting him back, but when you're pulling a guy, what do you think it takes for a defensive coordinator, Richie Hall, to say, you know what, we got to have to pull Alden for a while. Let him sit. He's got too many things. He's getting distracted out there. His misreading is what he's doing. He's thinking things are going inside, he's going outside, he's going outside, he's going inside. He's not comfortable. So if you start making those mental games where you maybe take chances and you get burned, they're going to pull you just a lot of times sit on the sideline, watch the game, relax, take a breather, we'll put you back in. But it's very interesting that you tell me now that Reddy's starting, or Cramdy. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like, we haven't even touched on Montreal.
We'll get
but
there. We'll get there.
they're not that bad, buddy. They're not that bad.
We're gonna take a look at the Montreal Alouettes depth chart and injury list and see how they match up head to head against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They're 2-0, as you see on your screen. The Alouettes are 2-0. The Bombers are 2-1, and I would say this is the first legit test for the Montreal Alouettes, and it is in Montreal.
Absolutely.
And Winnipeg making some changes. You mentioned Reda Kramdi on the defensive side. Getting Jackson Jeffcoat back is nice. But let's talk about your area of specialty, Chris Walby. Your Hall of Fame career, 16 seasons on the offensive line in the CFL. Well, I guess it was 15. Did you play D-line 1 year? Does that count?
No, I played 16. I actually played tight end and short yardage that year. So, yeah, I guess you could go 50 and a half O-line if you want to really get technical.
Well, you know what? Your wife, your lovely wife Vera, she was mentioning you play tight end to this day.
Yeah, that's just my wallet.
There you go. Nicely done. Nicely done.
Well, I have to, buddy. Come on, man. I'll tell you this though. I was shell shocked, as I'm sure that O-line was when they watched film the next day.
Well, let's get into it.
Matthew Betts. Well, he had I think he had 7 sacks all last year.
3
sacks. I know that they really liked him, but I tell you, he's got a weird stance. He kind of goes in a crouch and he comes up, and he almost goes into a sprinter stance.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what, man. He really had a field day against our tackle, specifically the big man who I was blown away. In 66, had a hard time blocking this guy.
Well, Hockey Mom, who's watching on YouTube. What's going on, Hockey Mom? Great to have you here. Hardrick and Bryant, says Hockey Mom, will have to step up. Hardrick was having a rough game, even got a penalty because he jumped early because he was getting beat. Great comment there. Stanley Bryant was having a hard time. You saw Matthew Betts split between Bryant and Jeff Gray on the left side of that offensive line. That's Zach Collaros' blind side. That should be your strongest side. It was not against BC.
It was a great move by Matthew Betts, and the fact that he put his foot outside, froze Stanley, and came in like quick change of directions. And it was one of those things that I've been there. Every tackle that's ever played in this game, every offensive line that's played in this game, has gotten beaten on one occasion or another where you go, oh, Jesus, that film was going to be shitty tomorrow. And that's what you're thinking. I feel bad for the guy, but it happens. Listen, Stanley's a Hall of Famer. He's going to rebound. Jamarcus Hardrick's going to rebound. Jeff Gray, I think he had a little bit of a tough game too. No one's talking about the interior. I thought he had a bit of a tough time too. I just thought BC really brought it. They brought the pressure. They brought the schemes. They did a lot of what I call tackle and reverses, like X's. They got the offensive line of the Bombers on different levels, and they got penetration. You never saw. I don't even think that this group, and I'm pretty sure they've never given up 7 sacks in a game. I would almost put money on it. They haven't.
Yep.
But I'll say this: they kept coming. And it was everybody. The linebacker got a couple. If David Menard got a couple, Betts had 3. They just were. They owned the Bomber, and this is one of those days. And Richie Hall, I think, what did Richie Hall say? We came in late. The game started at 7:30. We didn't start playing at 7:40.
Yep.
He's not happy, and he shouldn't be.
Nobody's
But
happy.
you need a wake-up call. Would you rather have this game? I know this is going to sound like a very optimist, but would you rather have this game? I know they're all saying the same crap. Would you rather have this game today or the last game of the year? So, get it out of your system, flush it, but you can't flush it. You've got to go back and say, what happened? Why did I get beat like this? What did they do? Because you know what's happening. Montreal, they're looking at that scheme. They're saying, what the hell did BC do? You know what? We might start copying some of that stuff because they're going to put pressure on the Bombers too. And Montreal's always a tough place to play in.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a very interesting game. Do I think Montreal's going to upset Bombers? No, I don't. I think Winnipeg's going to rebound. I picked Bombers to beat BC by 11. So I ate a whole lot of crow on that one. But yeah, I know. I was spitting feathers for a week. It wasn't good.
Chris Walby, you're our legend beyond your playing and broadcasting days for comments just like that one. Um, does Winnipeg need to change things on the offensive line? Do they need to change protections? Uh, or is it kind of, hey, give your head a frickin' shake, go out there and play the way you know how to play. Montreal does do creative things with their pass rush. I think it was I missed one of the commenters saying that they use Tyrese Beverette, their weak side
Yeah,
linebacker, to
yeah,
blitz a lot. He's incredibly athletic, could probably play the
yeah.
dime or safety if they needed to. He's that kind of player, but has that size. Kind of reminds me of uh, 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 Kyrie. Gosh, what's
Kyrie Wilson.
no, not Kyrie Wilson. Kyrie's Hebert, formerly of the Blue Bombers and
Oh,
Alouettes
way
incident.
back, Ottawa Renegades are the way
Yeah,
back when.
Renegades too. Yeah, he reminds me
He
of
was,
him. He's a linebacker, but has
yeah.
the legs and the agility to cover like a DB as well. They use Tyrese Beverette like that, and so does Winnipeg need to change things on how they protect on offense,
No.
or is it a head shake? Or Chris, as a lot of people have been wondering, is this O line just getting old?
Oh, this is what I knew that was going to come out there today.
You knew I
Yeah,
had
you
it.
know what? Yeah, and it's going to stay there. If this game is very reminiscent of last game,
Mm-hmm.
and Montreal starts to dominate, and then you're going to have question marks.
Yeah.
But I don't think so. I don't. To me, it's a blip in the screen. I think you just kind of fix up what you made mistakes on, figure out what you had to do to change that, because they're going to work on pass rush drills. They're going because it's never good when you got beat for 7 sacks. And listen, I'm going to sound like a pro or whatever you call it, the guy that protects his O line. A lot of times it could be a fullback or a running back missing their block. A lot of times it'd be the quarterback holding on the ball too long
I
because the
get
receiver
that.
runs around.
I
So
get that.
let's not all jump on the card here. But I'll say this: the ones they did get beat on, buddy, were ugly, and they were no one else to blame but those guys up front. So they have to turn it around. They absolutely have to play better. And I think that if something were to happen where this week was very reminiscent of last week, yeah, there'll be definitely some questions going on, and then maybe changes.
But to continue to speak the voice of fans out there that watch one player split through arguably the greatest offensive lineman to ever play in Canadian football in Stanley Bryant and
Yep.
Jeff Gray. 1 versus 2, and they just get beat. That's not
Nah.
about a
Yeah.
running back missing their block or a DB or a receiver running the wrong route and running it too deep. Mike O'Shea spoke on that this week. And I understand it's not always on the offensive line, but some of those
Tougher.
plays against BC were just one-on-one or one-on-two
Was not a
situations
1-on-2.
where they got
Was
beat.
not 1-on-2. Was not 1-on-2.
Well, there
That
was
is a tackle on the end. Tackle on the end. Jeff Gray has nothing to do with it. If Jeff is free, if a guard is free,
he'll help.
his first thing is to look inside out. You never look outside first. You look inside out. But that was just Stanley. Stanley just had a rough day. Stanley's going to rebound. He'll be okay, man. But, I mean, he just had a rough game. That had nothing to do with Jeff. Jeff's got his own issues of having to, take stuff off in the middle, and block the guys that are coming in. The linebacker.
See, I got you fired up. You're leaning into the camera.
I'm just stretching my Botox.
You
My buttocks.
get-
My buttocks, not my Botox.
You got Botox in your knees? Is that how retired football players take care of things?
I got a butt implant. Yeah, never mind. What are you talking about? Okay, but
calf implants. All football players, they need bigger calves, right? Well, that's just the DBs.
I used to see him work out. I used to see him work out in the gym, and all they do is curls for the girls, and they look like popsicle sticks. Got no legs. I go, well, what's up with that, man? You work your legs, man. You look like a pudding on a stick.
Have you watched the American Gladiators documentary on Netflix?
No, I have not. The one that's called Muscles or something.
Yeah, muscles and whatever, but they get into it all. It's a pretty entertaining watch on Netflix. You mentioned curls for the girls and maybe some of the illegal stuff going on in the 80s and 90s. It was interesting to watch. But Winnipeg's offense, of course, protecting Zach Collaros is going to be paramount. Changes to the receiving core, that will be a big part of it. It's nice that they have Brady Oliveira back. I really think Nic Demski is possible to miss this game. I have a one-on-one interview with him. We're going to play in just a second. Talking
100%.
about why he possibly won't be in Montreal for this game. But to me, Chris, it comes down to Zach Collaros. We know he can extend plays with his legs. We know he can make magic happen on broken plays. Maybe just more awareness of where the pressure is coming from will allow Collaros to go out there. And I got a feeling he's going to have a chip on his shoulder this week to show everybody, like, yeah, we scored 6 points at home last week. We're going to go put the boots to the Alouettes in Montreal.
Yeah, first time they haven't scored a touchdown since, I don't know, 2017 or some crazy thing. But
insane.
Yeah, that's what I look at is I go, they did a great job of keeping him in the pocket. Zach loves to extend plays with his legs. He's so good at escaping and making things happen when he does escape. I thought BC their game plan was phenomenal. Now you're going against a Montreal defense led by the defense coordinator, Noel Thorpe. Thorpe's been around for a long time. He's smart. He knows the business. And they're, like I said before, no coordinator, offense, defense, special teams, if they see something working on their team, they're going to implement it in their own game plan. Right. So that'll be the interesting thing for me. I like I said, when I heard that Carlton might not play, Nick Demski, if he doesn't play, and obviously you mentioned the fact that his wife is due any day, which is a phenomenal thing, and that's one of the things I love about Coach O'Shea. It's one of those things, family first, man. You only play football for a number of years, but your family is every year, is for your life. So I love the fact that he may miss the game for the right reason. And that's bringing a birth of his first child. It's the first one, too. It's phenomenal, man. You know what I'm talking about. Yep. I know I got a half a dozen somewhere. I don't know where they are. They're running around the property somewhere. But yeah, I got name tags on all my kids.
Well, it's good. You got to keep track of them.
I just have numbers. Number 4, get over here.
Number 4. You don't have favorites, though. You number them purely.
And my kids think I do. My kids think I do. My kids think I do. If my second one, Clayton, gets in trouble, they go, Dad, he's number 1. You know that. You never give him any crap. Well Chris, I do sometimes. But
part of this change for the Blue Bombers this week came with the signing of Dakota Prukop, their third-string quarterback from last year. I hate to remind people, but the guy that came in was a real gadget play type guy, can run the football, can throw the football. He threw 2 picks in the Grey Cup loss to the Toronto Argonauts. I hate reminding people of that, but it's important context for what we saw in a 1-point football game. But he comes in, Tyrell Pigram, not on the practice roster, outright release. This league needs quarterbacks. He has not signed anywhere yet. It's been 3 or 4 days. But how much does the addition of a veteran, a fast, strong, physical, experienced quarterback in Dakota Prukop help Winnipeg on offense in those short yardage situations?
What is he? I think he was 90% on short yardage last year.
Damn good.
And he's a horse. He's a big boy he's fast, breaks a lot of tackles. And again, we've been talking about this ever since we've been doing this show. The culture they've built, O'Shea, Walters, and Wade Miller. And the players, as soon as they get released, I think he played for the New Jersey Generals or wherever he was out there. He got let go. Because he got released, he was able to come back.
Well, and it was the end of the season, right?
Yeah, end of the season too. But I mean, he's come back to Winnipeg.
Yeah.
He didn't come back. They love him because he is a special team short yardage guru. That's why they brought him back. Yeah. If it was anything else, if this Pigram guy would have been able to do it, they wouldn't even look at him. Now, I'm surprised that Pigram hasn't got picked up because I do like his athleticism. And I think a team like Edmonton, which is going right down the toilet quicker than, whatever you want to call it.
Well, they're in Ottawa this week, and I think they can cover the 2-point spread because Ottawa's starting some guy we've never even heard of. It's going to be Daggy versus Adams or something, and it ain't Vernon Adams.
Yeah, Adams and Dorgy. Yeah. I mean,
Daggy.
But the problem is,
Doggy.
You need,
Daggy.
Yeah, Daggy. I don't know. I thought his name was Dodge, like Dodge the Bullets. But anyway,
Doege. If you remember that name, his brother Seth Daggy was on the Saskatchewan Roughriders in years past.
Yeah. Well, I have a friend that used to be a cheerleader. What does that mean?
I'm just saying, if you recognize the name, that was his brother in Saskatchewan, not Jared Daggy.
What are you, a stalker?
No, I'm a football reporter. Good God.
Anyway, I'll be honest with you. Ottawa and Edmonton are. And I listen. I
We don't
like
want to
Bobby
go on
Dice.
about those two teams right now. Good
I
God.
want Bobby Dice to do well. I really do.
Agreed. The Winnipegger,
Um,
head coach of the
Chris
Ottawa
Chris
Redblacks.
Jones Chris Jones is on a 1 year. He's got to turn things around, man. I don't know why again they gave him full control of everything. It doesn't make sense to me, but they've got. I mean, they haven't won. They play. Their offense is pathetic. I mean, even now Eugene Lewis is not playing.
6-game injury
He's there
list.
not. Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, man. But anyway, I'll say this about Montreal. The stat that I love, and I like looking at certain things. They're number one. They've only turned the ball over once in 2 games. They have allowed 0 touchdowns, not 1 touchdown through the air or rushing in 2 games. That's pretty studly.
Mm-hmm.
The top rated passer in the league, percentage wise, is Cody Fajardo. Cody is, I really believe this. I think Cody, they beat the crap out of Cody in Saskatchewan. They want to
The
get rid
O-line
of
was
him.
a nightmare.
And his first game in Montreal, they got sacked 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
But they only gave up 1, I think, last week. But I like the kid. I like the way he plays. He's one of these guys that God fearing. He just wants to play, and put everything in front of him. He's a great guy in the locker room. He's playing well now, and him and Jason Moss have a relationship. Obviously, they're both in Saskatchewan. They got this one guy that I'm really intrigued to watch, and we've been talking a lot. We haven't talked about him, but Austin Mack.
Here he is.
Yeah, Austin Mack, buddy.
Go ahead.
He's a stud. This kid's a stud, man. Here's a guy they wanted to get in the lineup last year, couldn't get him in. They put him in this year, and he's already got 3. I think he's leading the team with 3 touchdowns. He's got a nice average, 22 yards a catch, doing a lot of good things. And we cannot think about him without thinking about you have to have a running game. And Montreal has a guy that I think is one of the best in a William Stanback. He's a horse.
Yeah.
So you got Stanback there. You got all these other guys. You got Julian Grant.
Stanback's either been William Stanback has either been 1-2 or like 1-2-3 in rushing leaders in each of the last like 4 or 5 years. Last season tore his Achilles. In like game 1 first drive. Like it ended Montreal's season pretty quickly. But bringing Cody Fajardo in, new head coach in Jason Moss, it didn't work in Saskatchewan. And I know the offensive line kind of stunk. And I'm being very diplomatic by saying that. They were really bad. But Cody Fajardo and Jason Moss, it was not a marriage made in heaven because it just didn't fit. They tried to make Cody Fajardo into a pocket passing quarterback with a leaky offensive line. Yeah, they had lots of offensive weaponry around him. Great tailbacks, deep receiving core. Has Jason Moss learned from that experience, going from the OC of Saskatchewan to now the head coach in Montreal with the same quarterback he's always had? Will we see a different Cody Fajardo? Will Jason Moss learn?
Huge questions, and to be determined, TBD, because I really do believe it'll come down to how much he influences the game plan. Jason Moss is a headstrong guy. He's got a bit of a temper, which I don't mind in a head coach, but he wants to have things done his way. He was the guy that actually stuck up for Cody Fajardo in Saskatchewan when they went away from from Cody and they wanted to go with Mason Fine. He did not do that. He did not want that to happen. And so him and Craig Dickinson got into a little bit of a head-butting contest. And so it was no wonder that when they didn't rehire him, obviously Montreal hired him as the head coach. Danny Machocho thinks the most of him. He's the GM. He thinks that, that this guy is a brilliant guy. He used to play quarterback. When you're a coach and you played quarterback and you're dealing with a quarterback, that's usually a plus. So it'll be really interesting to see how he turns it around.
Well, let's look at the defensive side of the ball for the Montreal Alouettes. And it's led by some very impactful players. Sutton on the boundary halfback spot. Tyrese Beverette, we mentioned him at the weak side linebacker. One of the top Canadians in the CFL last year. A real breakout season for him was Marc-Antoine Dequoy at safety. I know you like watching the guys on the defensive line, Chris. And I think most notably, the strongest man in the CFL, they used to call him Almondo Sewell, Nick Usher at
Yeah.
defensive end. They've got some pieces there for sure.
Yeah, they do. I mean, Amando's been around, I think, 13 or 12 years now, I think. They got Emmanuel Johnson. When I first saw it, I thought it was Mika, but then I realized it's Manuel. It's Mustafa. Sorry, a new guy. And then you got Nick Usher, who had a stint in Winnipeg. You got Lawal Husseya from first year out of Texas Christian. You got another guy, Jamal Davis. They really liked at the other end. They got some young guys, but the guy that really is really the catalyst on a defense is a guy named Avery Williams. It was I believe he was the Rookie of the Year nominee for BC last year, and ended up signing with Montreal for a big contract. He's a heck of a middle linebacker.
Was he injured?
So they got some guys, man.
But there he is on the 1-game injured list.
He's on the injured list. He's not playing tomorrow.
He is not.
Well, there you go. The depth chart they sent me. Them sons of God. Comment ça va, ça va bien? Yeah.
Keontae Evans also out, the veteran defensive back.
That's a big one.
Also a really good defensive back. Nafis Lyons is on the 6-game injured list. Our old friend Greg Ellingson on the 6-game injured list. Manitoba Bison product Brock Gowanluck at defensive end on the injured list. Tyson Philpott. This guy is the next Nick Demsky in the Canadian Football League. He
stays healthy
on the 6-game injured list as well. So a look at Montreal. They're a little bit nicked up. Winnipeg is a little bit nicked up. We'll see how things shake out. But I think the lead storyline of this game, Chris, you can talk about Big Hill not being at practice all week, and Demski game time decision, and Jackson Jeffcoat returning, and Reddick Cramdy starting at the dime back spot over Alden Darby. The lead story of this game is how Winnipeg mentally responds after an embarrassing loss. It was strange watching them get beat up and down the field by the BC Lions, wasn't it? It was weird.
It's like going to a boxing match where one guy got gloves and the other guy is doing bare knuckle and he knocks the crap out of you. I just thought BC came to play. They were fired up. They've got a great team. I like Rick Campbell. I told you before we did our podcast last week that I like the way he's got that culture going over there in BC.
Yeah.
Remember, they didn't even have Dominic Davis playing, or Kevin Hatcher, their two top receivers.
Oh,
and looked like
Keon Hatcher and Dominic Grimes.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, and Vernon Adams Jr. looked like the next coming of Joe Montana. I mean, he was just all over the place. I mean, he threw the ball precision, top, and I loved it. But this is a different guy. Now, do I think Cody throws a good ball? Absolutely, but he likes to run around. He's got what I call happy feet. Yeah. So you got to make sure you're chasing him. Make sure you keep in the pocket. He will run. He's only rushed, I think, 12 or 5 times this year. Maybe 5 for 12 yards, which is very un-Fajardo-like, because he takes off a lot of times. And I remember when he played for Saskatchewan, he burned the Bombers a couple times on runs. So it'll be very interesting to see what he does running the football and who he utilizes to try and to beat us. I just got this feeling I just don't think the Bombers are going to collapse tomorrow. I really don't. I really think that the Winnipeg is going to rebound, and I think they're going to put I got a feeling it's going to be like 28-12. Bombers are going to win. I just got this feeling, man.
Well, there you go. You can head to SIA.com/bonfire, get 100% bonus, and if you take Chris Walby's advice, they're probably going to cover the 5.5 6-point spread that it is now.
Oh, there you go. See, I don't know. I don't look at any of that stuff. I'm not a gambler because I lost my hair one time in a bet and I never came back. So that's it.
Well, that's your fault. You shouldn't bet on college ping pong. That's your problem.
Bocce ball.
Oh, it's bocce.
Yeah.
Oh,
bocce,
man,
and my other favorite sport is full contact cribbage. Very lively.
Yeah, it's 24-hour. Isn't that a 24-hour TSN channel? It's all from Malaysia or something.
Oh, you crazy bugger.
Okay.
All right. So what are we doing now?
Well, before we get to your keys to the game, and I know you're pining for the doc, Chris. You're pining for that red Solo cup, the sunshine, your dog's by your side, kids 1, 2, 3, and 4 by name, not number, by name 1, 2, 3, and 4, running around. I know you're pining for it. But before we get to your keys to the game, I had a very insightful conversation with Nic Demski, and I talked to him about rebounding from that really tough loss against BC.
First things first, Nic Demski, you're still waiting patiently for
yes, sir.
An arrival. Somebody. You've had some teammates that have had their families grow or begin this year.
You see it all over there.
So how are you feeling with all that?
I'm good, man. Obviously it could be a little stressful. It's two tails, I guess. Obviously you're super happy and appreciative and all that good stuff. But at the same time, I mean, the football season, it's a little hard just to focus on one or the other. So, I'm just trying to make a good balance out of it and just try to be super supportive. And obviously I'm excited. So I just can't wait for it to happen.
Well, that baby due date just a couple days away. So
yes, sir.
Looking forward to that, I'm sure. Okay, let's talk about the task at hand here. And I imagine it's incredibly important to flush what happened. Whether you guys win a game by 40, lose a game by 24 or whatever it was. Is it more difficult when it is a game like the one you guys had against BC?
You know what? Anytime you lose a game, you're going to take pros and cons from it. I mean, obviously, with the way that game went, there's more cons than pros for sure. But at the end of the day, I mean, you just got to fix it. You treat it like any loss against any team. BC, they're a good team. We all took it personally and went back to the drawing board, back to the film room, and saw what we did wrong and saw what we have to fix. So I mean, now we just got to bounce back and come play the right way.
You do that every week, though, right? You guys comb through the film, and if you miss an assignment or make a mistake or something doesn't go the way it's supposed to, you guys make those corrections regardless of the outcome of the game.
For sure. But as I said, there's always going to be pros and cons, and there's definitely a lot more cons than there were pros. So with a game like that, I felt like the score did say it justice. So as I said, we took it personally. A loss is never a good thing, but we just had to take what was there from the film and turn it into positives and see what we had to build on and learn from it and grow from it.
You see a pretty good football team defensively?
They're a good team. You know what? Not just defensively, offensively too. Special teams, they have some energy over there too. So, nothing that we can't match, nothing that we can't perform against. But at the same time, they came out, they played their brand of football, and we just got to bring it next time.
You've been part of that evolution from this team becoming not just competitive, but a contender or a favorite to win the cup every single year. Was it kind of weird seeing how things unfolded here at home, especially?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Every dog has its day. Unfortunately, it wasn't ours, and again, you got to put it in the past, but at the same time, I mean, you definitely take some things from that, and as I said, go back to the film room and see kind of where it happened, where it stemmed from, and we had some good bonding time over this long week as well. So I think everybody trusts each other. Nothing's changed in that aspect of this team. So again, we're just excited to get back out there and bring our brand of football back.
You guys are veteran laden on both sides of the ball, even through the coaching staff. Everybody's seen this league and how kind of it's the CFL, crazy football league for a reason.
For sure.
Right? So how much does that veteran perspective and that leadership that you bring, that others bring to say, hey guys, one game, we're on to the next?
For sure. I mean, it just it's football, man. It's a long season. You're not going to win them all. So it's just kind of just being there. Being there before. I've lost my fair share of games in this league, but I also won a lot of games too. So just kind of knowing that, the team's the same way, knowing how to win, how to bounce back from a losing week, and how to bring it back into a positive thing. So I mean, we're all on each other. The vibe hasn't changed. We just want to be better and just as I keep saying it, bring our brand of football back, because I think that's what we were lacking last game.
Okay, so I'll now flush that and move on.
Yeah, there we go.
Tell me about the Montreal Alouettes and a trip there where always interesting games between Winnipeg and Montreal, especially
for sure. Yeah,
especially in Montreal.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
What do we have on tap?
You know what? They're first off, they're a fast football team. Their defense is fast. They're physical. They fly around out there. I think they're really well coached as well. So you know what? It's going to be a hard task offensively for us, but at the same time, I mean, I think we have a great game plan that's set in stone. So it's obviously funny flying there. It's a long flight for us. Probably not as long, not as long for us as other teams. Especially like BC and stuff like that. But we just got to stay locked in and go through our process and just know the task at hand. I mean, as you said, there have been some funny games there in the past. So hopefully we can kind of break that streak and stick to the script and bring our brand of football and play better and just do what we have to do.
I would love your take on this, and maybe it's your take. Maybe you can put something to rest, but that idea that Montreal is a distraction, that you're gonna, teams go there, guys go there, and they're out late, or they're distracted by the food or the atmosphere,
For
whatever
sure.
it might be. What is it really like going to Montreal on a business trip?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I've been on teams before where people like to have fun and stuff like that. But I mean, that's kind of where the veteran leadership comes into play. I mean, we've all been there. We've gone through it. We've seen what happens when you don't focus and lock in. So I think that definitely brings a chip on our shoulders to go over there and focus on the task at hand. I actually really like playing in that stadium. You have a nice view out there. So, I mean, don't use it as a distraction, but, you have a nice view. They're getting lots of fans out there now lately as well. They're playing good football. They're 2-0. So, I'm just excited for the environment of the game and use that to our advantage.
Do you think guys are champing at the bit to, you flush that, and it's always week to week, but you have an opportunity to go into a weekend with a good feeling, because I'm sure nobody liked the way they were feeling this past weekend.
For sure, yeah. I mean, this is just another opportunity to go out there and go 1-0 this week. And, whether your motivation is because of last week or no matter your motivation is, looking forward and trying to, better yourself or better the team. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the beauty thing about football. You're going to have that next opportunity. So, just the fact that I get to put on this helmet and put on the pads and jerseys, I mean, I'm just happy to go out there and make plays for this team.
Outstanding. Yeah, to be Nic Demski.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Nick Demski in conversation following practice earlier this week. Was Montreal ever a distraction for you, Chris? Your legendary teams?
I started off in Montreal. I think I played 6 games there, and I remember my indoctrination was, as an offensive line, was they had this big glass, held 6 beers. You had to chug 6 beers, and that's how I became a veteran, or not a rookie with the O-line, or a D-line. Sorry, it was a D-line when I played there, but yeah, it was just a good time. Montreal is one of those places where you go 11 o'clock at night, and it's rush hour.
Yeah,
it's just it's a great entertainment. Like you said, restaurants, the bars, the streets, Churchill Ave, all that thing. Yeah, it is. It can be a hell of a distraction. But I think when you have a veteran team, you got to say, hey, listen, it's almost like the Grey Cup. When you go to the Grey Cup and everybody goes and parties for 3-4 days, and then you finally say, hey, listen, guys, you know what, you can party the rest of the year, but now you got to get down. So the game is the most important thing. Otherwise, if you start playing crappy because you're out partying all night, you might as well move to Montreal and party there, because you're not gonna be on a team. So, yeah, it's crazy, man. But I enjoyed Montreal. It's a beautiful city. Like even going down to the old Montreal, where used to buy prime rib, 1, 2, or 3 inch prime rib. Men's only club. They call it the Brasserie men's only club. It was crazy, man. But times have changed. It's good.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been there since
go there, you feel good, you live good, but then you got to go out and play good. And for the Blue Bombers, I don't think they want to drop a second straight. I don't think it's in the DNA of this team to let that happen, right? Let's get into your keys to the game, Chris. I imagine it starts with the mental approach coming off an embarrassing loss.
Well, it's interesting you say that too, because after thinking about it a lot, the fact is when you go out there on offense, for me, it's, you have to create an atmosphere where you can't let Zach start becoming an expert in clouds, because if he's going to spend a half of his game on his back checking if it's a cumulus cloud or a thunder cloud or a rain cloud, you're not going to win many football games. So you got to keep it straight. You got to keep protect that football. And I think it just goes with getting rid of the football, getting pre-snap reads right away. Defensively, get after Cody. Cody's going to take off with the ball. I'm going to tell you right now, he's going to run a lot with this ball. I think we're going to get great pressure on him. I mean, they're starting 4 Canadians, 1 American left tackle. I think there's some stuff you can take advantage of there. And obviously, I didn't realize that. Thank you for correcting me, that Avery Williams, so I stand out middle linebacker, is not there. So, that is definitely a spot in the field that I'll be attacking if I was an offense, and defense as well, right? I mean, and then you got special teams. You better not forget about Chandler Worthy. You saw what he did last week. He took a punt for a touchdown. So right now, it's probably two of the best punt returners in the CFL going head to head, and
Agreed.
Janarian Grant and Chandler Worthy. So yeah, you got to stay in your lanes, be smart with the football. Make sure you push them to the middle. Don't let them get to the outside, and don't make a special team, touchdown be the result of a game you lose.
Critical key to the game here from Marcel Bergeron on YouTube. What's going on, Marcel? All I want in life is to have a brew with the big man at the Petersfield Hotel. That may be
do it, man.
Critical key to the game. Also key to the game. Yeah, there's the Petersfield Hotel. No. If you want the spot in downtown Winnipeg, it's Shannon's Irish Pub. I went there last night, Chris, after the Sea Bears game, which, by the way, was a raucous crowd at Canada Life Center. And I hear your ice cubes there. That's kind of what I was hearing at Shannon's Irish Pub last night, as people were really enjoying yourselves. 21 beers on tap, Jets and Blue Bombers game day specials, home games, away games, they got you covered. 175 Carlton Street, underneath the streets of downtown Winnipeg. If you've never been, you gotta go check it out. Eclectic, classic atmosphere, and food and drinks that are nearly unmatched. Shannon'sIrishPub.ca. The wild boar and venison burger is to die for. Go check it out. Their wings are great too. 21 beers on tap. Shannon'sIrishPub.ca. Love going there, Chris. I had a ton of fun there last night with Joey Slattery, our good friend from CTV.
Oh, yeah.
And well, you know what? I think you and I might have to pop down to Shannon's soon too, and we'll sign some autographs. Maybe they might even ask for yours.
Well, you know what? I don't think they don't know me anymore. I'm an old guy. I mean, I play with Moses. But having said that, yeah, we can have some fun. I mean, that's the thing. You know me. I never turned down a good Coley. And I want to tell you something right now, boys. Here's a little anecdote. We've been going to the Bomber games for years, and a bunch of us go, and all the alumni go sign autographs all the time. Now they finally figured it out that when the alumni are there, we're standing and we're taking pictures, we're doing everything, we're promoting the game, getting the young kids involved, getting them in loving the game. They're the future, the whole 9 yards. Now the club has said, you know what? Maybe we should treat the alumni to a cup of beer. Not a whole lot. Maybe we'll give each alumni a cup of beer while they're there for 3 hours. Smart! Jesus, how long it took. Anyway, that was my rant.
Okay.
As my black lab just walked in the garage here.
Luca.
Hey, Luca, come here. Luca, what's this? Who's that? Hey, come here. Who's that? Hey.
There he is.
Who's that? Oh, he's a good dog, yeah.
See, you're gonna follow his lead, and you're gonna get in the lake, take a swim like Luca just did.
No, I got to fill my glass up because it's empty.
Well, yeah, that too. On that note, Chris, have a great weekend. Enjoy the game Saturday, and
yes, hey,
we'll do this again next week.
DB,
yeah,
everybody out there, enjoy Canada Day, baby. We've got beautiful weather this weekend. Enjoy Canada Day. Go Bombers, but hey, enjoy the weekend. Be safe, have fun, and we'll talk next time. See you later, boys.
Take care, Chris.
All right, brother. Love you.